Hello everyone, it is your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black, the one and only, here with another exciting live stream. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about July 30th, 2019. Today, I am mainly focused on work. I finally finished up with the weather app project that I was assigned to for my job, and now they have me learning Golang, which is a Google programming language, like a programming language created by Google. It kind of reminds me of if Python and JavaScript had a baby, but to be honest, I think I'll probably always prefer Python over JavaScript or Golang. But it is interesting that right now my current task is just to learn a new programming language and that it's not to use it in any specific way at the moment. It's just to gain knowledge. So it's a very free-formed work task. I can kind of go about learning that programming language however I kind of see fit. Though this time around they did actually send me resources. Previously when they've asked me to like go learn some languages, I kind of just had to find what I wanted to use. So I used W3 schools and stuff like that. This time around, it's me using resources that they've sent me, which I think is interesting because last time I was learning multiple languages and they were like, you're good, you don't need anything specific. This time I'm learning one language and they're like, you might want to use this and this and this. They had like particular things they wanted me to use. So now, like I said, for work, I'm just trying to like study and learn about Golang. Other than that, I've been working on that lore book that I've mentioned in the past. So essentially, I am developing a lore book based on a superhero universe that I developed when I was younger. So back when I was a little kid, before I started writing, I would do a lot of creative play where I would play with action figures and toys and stuff like that. And that's how I would express myself and create stories featuring different characters and things of that nature. And a lot of the characters that I made up, I would actually use just random toys that I had to represent those characters. But a lot of those stories that I made as a kid, I never wrote down. So now I'm making a lore book that kind of takes characters and ideas from that imaginative play that I still remember but never really wrote down and putting them into a book so that people can look at the different characters and powers and settings and species of this like imaginative setting. And with this book, I then will be able to start making like spin-offs, like superpower battles, volumes that have these characters and settings and powers in them. And I feel like that is going to be pretty hype. So I am excited for that. That is something that I am still working on, but should be finishing up sometime soon. I feel like this volume, I'm going to, well, not for this volume. Well, I guess for this volume, I could see myself continually making more of these lore books over time. But for this specific volume of the lore book that I'm working on now, I think I'm going to stop it after I've introduced 8 characters in the lore book. Right now in the lore book, I've introduced, I think, 4 or 5 characters so far. I've introduced multiple species, a ton of powers already, and I'm going to start adding settings soon. I know that there are at least 4 to 5 settings that I want to set up for it. Yo, Unknown Slayer, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. How's your day today? Do you have any questions for your boy? Do you have any discussion topics you'd like to talk about on the stream? Let me see. Give me one moment, Unknown Slayer. I'm going to get the live chat set up on my computer screen. That way I'll be able to actually see what you're typing. Also, Kels, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. Don't forget to smash that like button. How's your day today? Do you have any questions for your boy? And do you have any discussion topics you'd like to talk about on the stream? So I now have the live chat pulled up on my computer, so I'm actually able to see what you guys are saying. Unknown Slayer said, "Hi Nick, just woke up, so going to go and eat breakfast and have a good day and have a good stream." Oh, thank you kindly, Unknown Slayer. I appreciate the good wishes. I hope that you also have a wonderful day and that you're able to tune in to more streams in the future. Bum bum bum. Good to see you, dude. Yo, Kels. Kels said, "Hola, amigos." Yo, Kels. How's your day today? Do you have any questions for your boy? Do you have any discussion topics you'd like to talk about on the stream? Also, don't forget to smash that like button, Kels. Truly appreciate it. So, Kels, have you seen some of the new videos that I posted to the channel? Other than working on my lore book, based on the superhero universe I made up as a kid, um, texting with Beth via Messenger, work, of course. Work is what I do the majority of my day during the week. Um, and making a few YouTube videos today. That's what I've been doing for the majority of the day, with work taking up most of that, followed by, I'm trying to figure out what else would take up the biggest slice of that. The next biggest slice would probably be messaging with Beth. Then the next biggest slice would probably be making videos today. And then the next biggest slice would be working on the lore book. I haven't really put as much work into the lore book today as I would have wanted. But hopefully after the vlog, I'll be able to work on the lore book a little bit more. Tonight, Beth and I are going to have a text and watch date, where I think we're going to watch the first episode of season 2 of Batman Beyond, Splicers. Beth is really into genetic engineering as well as human animal hybrid characters. So I think she's going to really like the Splicers episode of Batman Beyond, because it's all about genetic engineering becoming like commonplace, and you're able to get spliced with an animal as easy as it is in the modern day to like get a tattoo, stuff like that. So I think Beth is going to really vibe with it. There's going to be a way for her to get more into stuff like Batman Beyond. So I think that will definitely be hashtag dope AF. So let's see. Kells. I actually have a amino blog post that I'm about to make, and it's a collection of some of Beth's OC characters. I'm going to do a video talking about each of them as well, but this blog post is just for my personal reference. Give me one moment. I'm going to click the post button. So this blog post that I'm putting up is not only for my reference, but it's also for you guys to be able to see Beth's different original characters. Just like a quick 3 sentence description of their powers and weaknesses, and then based off of that, if you guys want to talk about who would win in a fight between your characters and her characters, that information is just readily accessible. You know, at any point, if someone starts talking about Beth's character Hypnokitty or Monica or Doctor Destruction or Sabrina, then we can, with the greatest of ease, just jump into a discussion about them. The blog post is right there as reference, and we can just, do it to it. So yeah, I highly recommend that if anyone has any OC characters that they would like to do, who would win OC battles about, where we discuss them, to make blog posts like that. Let's see. Kel said, here is a better, simplified version of my Vibero's powers. So here's Kel's simplified Vibero's powers. He can regenerate any body part on command. He can generate electricity and manipulate his clothing. Though he has a lot of spirit/energy, using his electricity powers takes a lot of energy. He is also a master of aura. So that is your 3 sentence description for your guy. Um, I feel like a lot of your 3 sentence description, well, I'm not going to say a lot, but I'm going to feel like the last two, I'm going to feel like, that was such an oddly phrased sentence. I feel like the last 2 sentences of your description um, start diving in more to your universe specifically. And I feel like they're a little vague. So let me give you an idea of what I mean. So imagine that I'm a new viewer to the channel. I've heard about who would win OC battles, and I'm really excited to start like doing who would win OC battle discussions. So I'm looking through different characters that I'm interested in facing my OCs against, and I notice Vibiro. And I read his first sentence, and I'm like, I get this character. He can regenerate any part of his body on command. So I imagine if you like cut his arm off, he could be like, arm, come back, and then the arm like regenerates back. It's like, yeah, that's really easy to imagine. He can generate electricity. That one's kind of vague, I will say, because you don't say that he has electrokinesis. You say he can generate electricity, which could mean a number of things. Does he generate it as a field around his body? Does he generate it as bolts that he can fire? Can he manipulate this electricity, or does he simply make it? Is it a thing where if he like puts his fingers on like a charging cable that he can charge his phone? I it could be a number of different things. It could be just one specific thing, but it still isn't too vague where I can't imagine what generate electricity means. So it's vague, but it's not like horribly vague. And then and manipulate his clothing. Manipulate his clothing is a similar level of vague where it's not like terrible or anything. Um, and it gives your character plenty of options without necessarily like cornholing them into anything. Cornholing might not be the best term. Pigeonholing in is it pigeonholing? You're not putting your guy in a corner. Like powers that are vaguely described in that way, I think are fine because we still get an idea of what the power does without you setting like hard limits on your character. So the first sentence for your guy, I think, is like pretty solid. I'm like, yep, I feel like people can read that and understand your character. And the second sentence isn't too bad, but I think it's interesting the way that it's phrased. So the second sentence is, though he has a lot of spirit slash energy, using his electricity powers takes a lot of energy. I feel like that's actually not too bad. I think the only thing that would maybe throw a few people off is the whole spirit slash energy thing. I noticed that you're trying to put an equivalence to let people know, like, hey, even if you don't know what spirit is, it's more or less like stamina, but for powers kind of thing. Um, so there's nothing really too wrong with that. I just feel like someone might not fully understand what you mean. And maybe if they had an original character who could manipulate people's spirits, as in like your soul kind of thing, they might misinterpret what you mean. You know what I mean? They might be like, well, my character can manipulate your character's spirit to where they can't use their electrokinesis. I feel like that specific terminology could be confusing for people who are not aware of the greater lore of your webcomic slash manga poker game. And then the final sentence I think is the most vague to the point of it being confusing, and that is he is also a master of aura. So again, it's like, is that because if all we take into account are these three sentences and not the greater lore of poker game, what does being a master of aura mean? Does that mean that he has an aura of electricity around him based off of those other sentences? You know what I mean? Is it that he has an aura of clothing around him, like cloth and string and sewing needles and stuff like that? Like him being a master of aura with little to no context put beforehand other than the fact that you mentioned that he has a lot of spirit slash energy. It's like, what does that do? Like, what does him being a master of aura actually add to the battle, without it really being fleshed out? It just seems kind of vaguely mentioned. So the first sentence of your character, totally fine with. I don't really have any problems with it. It seems pretty solid. The second sentence for your character, I feel like if it was simply rephrased as, though he has a lot of stamina, using his electricity powers consumes a significant amount of his stamina. And that's still one sentence, but instead of someone going, wait, so what does he mean by spirit slash energy? Does he mean like his soul? Does he mean stamina? Does he mean some other thing? You know, it just makes it easier if you like specify it without using as specific term, like as specific of a term, but also not only are you using a specific term, but the definition for it doesn't match a dictionary definition and would require outside information to understand. You know what I mean? And then he is also a master of aura. What does that mean to someone who doesn't know what aura is in the poker game universe? I just feel like if that sentence was a little bit longer, maybe instead of saying he is also a master of aura, say that he's a master of whatever aura's significance would be in a battle context, and then people would just kind of get it. Like maybe if that was like more fleshed out, that people would just be like, oh, like I know what you're trying to convey. And then Kel said, yeah, the last two sentences need a bit more context to understand. Um, I just feel like that last one in particular is like very short. Like if it was just like a little bit longer, because it doesn't have to be like two sentences longer. Like that one sentence could be more than like 7 words. Because right now it's just 7 words. He is also a master of aura. He is also a master of aura. Yeah, if that was just a little bit longer, and instead of saying aura, you just kind of defined what aura is. Like, he is also a master of definition of aura, then I think it would make a lot more sense just to someone who doesn't know the greater lore of poker game. Then Kell said the clothing manipulation would require context in his amino post to understand how he can do it. So the clothing manipulation, I actually don't mind the way that it's written currently. I don't think we need to go into too heavy detail on how he manipulates his clothing and his power description. I think it's, as I mentioned for the other things in your power, vague enough to where I think we can get a good idea. We know that he can manipulate the clothing that he wears. You know what I mean? And from that, I think you could say anything that, as long as it fits within manipulate his clothing, would make sense from your power description. And I don't think there necessarily has to be any additional restraints put on that, or any like additional elaboration for people to get that that's what he can do, if that makes sense. I feel like the power that you went into the most detail with when it comes to specificity is he can regenerate any body part on command. That one I feel like you were very direct with. That was like, here it is. This is how it works. If he has lost a body part, he can be like finger return, and then his like cut off finger suddenly is like, oh, it's regenerated now. Oh, I got it back. It also makes it seem like it's not wound regeneration, it's body part regeneration. Like, if you like slice him up and he just has a bunch of like slice marks on his body, but you didn't actually cut anything off, the way it's described, it's not like he can regenerate from the wounds. It's like he'd be better off if you had just straight cut off his hand rather than like sliced up his hand. Because then he could just be like, whole hand return. Instead, he just has a bunch of like wounds on his hand from like knife marks. And then it's like, oh, I can't really like regenerate from that. Based on the way it's described, at least. Let's see. So Kel said, here's a better simplification. Viburo can heal any part of his body on command, generate and manipulate electricity, and control his clothing. So I do definitely feel like that first sentence is already better. So I do vibe that. Then the second sentence that you added for the edited Viburo is, he can only control the electricity he makes, and using electricity takes a lot of stamina, but he does have a large amount of stamina. I feel like that definitely is a more specific setup for your character's powers that leaves a lot less to the imagination in a good way. I feel like that is a good specific second sentence, so I'm digging that. And then Kel said he can heal the slices because those are parts of his body. Okay, I'm sorry. Um, why did I think? Okay, the reason why Kel's that I originally thought that he couldn't regenerate from stuff like getting sliced and cut is because earlier you said he can regenerate any body part on command rather than saying part of his body, which is what you changed it to in the new version. Body parts, the way that I imagine those, are like head, shoulder, knees, and toes, fingers, stuff like that. And regenerate for a body part is normally the kind of thing that like Piccolo does, where if Piccolo has his arm cut off, his whole arm just like out of his butt, and like now he has like his arm back kind of thing. I was thinking whole body parts. Once you changed it from body parts to parts of his body, even though it sounds like those should be synonymous things, I will say that parts of your body, I feel like, encompasses a more general scope than body part. Because I don't think if you pointed right here and was like, I'm not talking about my arm, I'm talking about this part of my body, that makes sense. Like if you had a wound that was specifically right here, I wouldn't consider this space right here a body part. I would consider it a part of your body, if that makes sense. It's just a semantics thing. Let's see. And then Kel said, I'm going to explain aura in an amino post, because though it's a simple technique at face value, it has inner complexity. What would be the easiest way to say that he has mastered aura in one sentence? I feel like you're so close. You're so close to your character just being really easy to understand for a who would win OC battle. It's just the part about he has mastered aura that I feel like is very vague. Where it's like, well, what does that really mean? Let's see. Hmm. So right now, I just received a message from Beth that I just read. So I'm gonna reply to that message. Um, but I'm gonna reply on Facebook Messenger. I'm not gonna reply out loud. Also, during the time where I'm typing up this reply, feel free to bring up any questions, discussion topics, talk about your day, or anything like that in the live chat, and I'll still be able to see the live chat and reply and respond to your messages. Also, open question before I jump into replying to Beth's message. Who do you think would win in a fight? HypnoKitty or Kels's character Vibiro? And I'm going to put a 3 sentence description of Beth's character HypnoKitty. This is supposed to be a better description than what we had before. Um, and now Kels has also provided a better description of what he had before. So hopefully that'll work. Hmm. I'm trying to send this message in the live chat, but it's not actually sending, and I don't know why. Oh, too many characters. Makes sense. It has 13 more characters than it needs. It's only 3 sentences. That's actually kind of surprising. Well, I can do one better. So instead of sending the description straight out, I can just send the Beth's OC's blog post, like just a link to it. And I feel like that would be more than enough. Okay, so I'm going to go to that and grab the link to that, if I can. When you're looking for the link but you can't find it, I just made the post. Oh, wait. Did I make it as like a draft and not publish the post? That would explain it. Okay, so I'm gonna hit edit draft. So it's still a draft. So let me post it. That's what I thought I had done earlier. Okay. So Kells has now posted what simplified aura is. So simplified aura, he can enhance any of his 5 senses, his strength, and his speed to any extent within reason and in any part of his body. So that's going to be the third sentence for Vibiro. So your 3 sentence who would win OC battle character description for Vibiro would be as follows. Vibiro can heal any part of his body on command, generate and manipulate electricity, and control his clothing. He can only control electricity he makes, and using electricity takes a lot of stamina, but he does have a large amount of stamina. And then the last part is he can enhance any of his 5 senses, his strength, and his speed to any extent within reason and in any part of his body. To any extent within reason. The within reason part is such a vague limiter. I don't even know what that means. You know what I mean? Does that mean that he can enhance his speed to like the Flash levels of speed? Like what does within reason really mean? Also, yo, Ray King, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. How's your day today? Do you have any questions for your boy? Do you have any discussion topics you'd like to talk about on stream? Also don't forget to smash that like button, Ray King. Truly appreciate it. Yo, Beth, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. How's your day today? Do you have any questions for your boy? Do you have any discussion topics you'd like to talk about on stream? Beth said, my amino is Evanescence. Please follow me, Jet. Currently on the amino, I might be wrong, but I don't think I'm actually currently following anyone because of the fact that the amino has so few people on it at the moment. It's not like posts get lost in the sauce. Like you can very easily just see like, oh, like somebody like posted something new. So at the moment, I don't think I'm following anybody on Amino. I might be wrong. Ray King retracted his message. Then Beth said, I will hopefully get around to adding stuff there soon. Whoop, ballin'. Sounds like a plan. I actually just created a little blog post of the 3 sentence character descriptions that you had made for like your superhero OCs. Ba-da-da-bum. So here's a little thing right here, a link to that blog post. Let's see. Ray King said vote. So Ray King, please elaborate on your one word message. I think I know what you mean, but I could be wrong because you only said one word. Beth said, thanks for clarifying. No problem. Always down to clarify. Kel said, I put within reason because I was worried you would think that he can give himself infinite attack or something. He still kind of could, depending on how you define within reason. You know what I mean? Then Kel said, Viburo can only beat HypnoKitty if he knows her powers. Um, so, real quick to go over HypnoKitty. Oh, I accidentally clicked on my own page. I need to go back to the post. Also, I noticed that we have. Whoop, spoke too soon. We have 3 viewers and 2 likes. If you are that third person, don't forget to smash that like button. Truly appreciate it. Let's see. Beth said, check private messages on Amino. Okay, I definitely will at some point. Right now, I'm juggling the multi-screen thing. So I have the vlog right here in front of me on my phone. I have Amino on the laptop screen right behind it. I have the live chat on my big monitor screen to the left, and then I have Facebook Messenger with your messages to the right of that. So I'm already like talking to you guys. I'm reading the stuff from the Mino. I gotta keep up with the live chat. I gotta keep up with Messenger, and it's really easy for me to fall behind on you guys in the live chat messaging, anyways. So it's kind of already a juggling act. I'll probably check out the private messages on Amino a little bit later. Probably not right now. Then Beth said, enough screen scrub, enough to be able to keep up with at least what's currently going on. Let's see. Kel said to an extent would be better instead of within reason. To an extent is still a very vague setup. I feel like if you put some defining factor, like a limit, because you're trying to put a limit on it, but it's just being phrased so vaguely that it really doesn't mean anything. It's kind of like if you said Superman is strong to a point. It's like, well, what does that mean? Like, to what point is Superman not strong? You know what I mean? It's so vaguely phrased to the point where you know he has some limit, but because the limit is undefined, all you can really say is it's not infinite, you know? So it just seems kind of odd. Because when you go Viburo can enhance all his physical capabilities and his senses within reason. It's like, well, within reason is undefined. I have no idea what that means. If it was like to superhuman levels, then maybe, or if you could compare him to something, like how Superman, his speed is described as faster than a speeding bullet, uh, which is at least saying that he at bare minimum is on the level of a bullet. But even then, I would say faster than a speeding bullet is a lazy power limitation because it's not a limit. It's a lower limit. It's saying that at the very least, he is beyond bullet level, but it doesn't tell you what his roof is, which means it's not a very good limit. It just means that anything that's like bullet speed, we know he at least is faster than that. But we don't know how high it goes beyond that. But at the very least, it gives you that lower limit. And then you could argue things that are faster than bullets. Superman may not be faster than, which is also fair, I guess. Even though now we know Superman is much faster than just a speeding bullet, at least you know that you can scale him to that. before we knew that, before there were feats, and you just had to go off of shit like that. You know, at least you could go off of shit like that. Let's see. Then Kel said, "Well, then you can just get rid of that limiter thing, cause it's unnecessary." Um, well, then you can just get rid of what limiter thing? Oh, you mean get rid of the within reason part, to where your guy would just read, he can enhance any of his five senses, his strength, and his speed to any extent and in any part of his body. I mean, that just sounds like he's really good. Um, can he do? I guess it's you just have to go by the way it's written. So by the way it's written, he can just, and it says to any extent too. So that means that he could just kind of do that infinitely, right? He could enhance his five senses, his strength, and his speed to just an incredibly high level, just to whatever level he wants. Let's see. Then Ray King said, in all caps, I said vote. Ray King, you said like one word, and I referred to what you said. I said, Ray King, could you like clarify on what you mean? Because I think I might know what you mean, but I'm not sure because you only said one word. Now you've said three words, but the three words are just to state that you said one word, which still doesn't really give me the meaning. It's like if someone said food, and then you go, what do you mean by food? And then they go, I said food. And it's like, what? Like, I don't know if this is a demand. I don't know if this is a topic. You know, I don't know where you're coming from. Kel said remove the to any extent thing as well. So then the power would read more as he can enhance any of his five senses, his strength, and his speed in any part of his body. That's still vague, but at least it's not set. I mean, it's still set with no upper bound, but to any extent was literally no upper bound. This one, it's vague, which still is no upper bound, but I don't know. I feel like if you want to bind it, Kells, that it needs some kind of true upper limit or limit of some kind. So yeah, uh, that's all I'm saying. Like right now, it just seems like your character can be like, all my senses are at their maximum potential, and my strength and my speed. And then Professor Trevenant said, no speed force then? Well, right now it seems like he does have something along the lines of like a, but it wouldn't just be speed force. Like Kels's character would have a like everything force, because he was like strength, speed, five senses, which isn't everything, but that's seven things that he can increase to essentially any level because of the fact that Kels didn't put an upper bounds on Vibiro. The only bounds that Vibiro currently seems to have are on his electrokinetic abilities. Like it seems like using his electrokinesis causes him to drain his stamina, but beyond that, he can just kind of boost himself like however much he wants. Let's see. Then Kel said, I was trying to say that giving himself the boost use energy. What? When? Let me scroll up. He can enhance any of his five senses, his strength, and his speed to any. Well, sorry, without the to any extent. He can enhance any of his five senses, his strength, and his speed in any part of his body. Um, if you want to say that it takes stamina kills, then you should just add something along those lines. Like you could rephrase that to say, at the cost of a significant portion of his stamina, he can enhance any of his five senses, his strength, and his speed in any part of his body. That way we know that if he's doing the self-enhancement power, that it is taking up a portion of his stamina. But in that original sentence, there's nothing that's specified to say that. Also, Professor Trevenant, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. Don't forget to smash that like button. Favorite. Whoa, I'm not doing a wrap up. Yo, Professor Trevenant, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. Don't forget to smash that like button. How's your day today? Do you have any questions for your boy? Do you have any discussion topics you'd like to talk about on the stream? That's what I meant to say. I almost did the outro thing for some reason. But I think Kells is getting pretty close to having like a really nice and concise 3 sentence breakdown. Professor Trevenant said, see, I can make a hero like the Golden Era OD comics. I think he meant OG. The Golden Era, well, it would be Golden Age. I still know what you mean, though. Professor Trevenant, I think is what he's saying. He said, I can make a hero like the Golden Age OG comic Superman. Just not fun to write for that type of hero. So, Golden Age Superman isn't the OP one that people talk about a lot. OG Superman was more of the Herculean, faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, can jump tall buildings in a single bound type character. It was the Silver Age of comics, once the Comics Code Authority came in, where Superman started becoming ridiculous, and writers were like, he can have any power he needs for the current situation, and everything he does is super. Like there are issues of the comic where he's like, I have super eating, and I have super math, and crypto has super ventriloquism. All that is like the Silver Age, where Superman gets like really just jump the shark silly with his ability to just do like anything. Kel said, and oh well, Kel said add at the cost of his stamina at the beginning. I understand where you're coming from. Could you add the amended, shortened version of Vibero's 3 sentence power description to the Amino in like a blog post? I feel like that would be very helpful for the who would win OC battles. We could very quickly be like, hey, we need the like short version of Vibero for a fight, and we could just Yaga it, just pull it real quick out of a blog post, and then we'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, da 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 da. Then Professor Trevenant said, my bad, kind of tired. I meant Silver Age. No problem, no problem at all. Let's see. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Let's see. Also, one moment. I'm replying to a message from Beth. Kel said, I'll add the shortened Viburo thing to Amino. Thank you kindly, Kels. Truly appreciate it. I notice we now have 5 viewers and 2 likes. Can we get this video to 5 viewers and 5 likes? Truly appreciate it. Yo, Ryan, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. How's your day today? Do you have any questions for your boy? Do you have any discussion topics you'd like to talk about on the stream? Ryan, I would love to hang out again sometime in the near future. There's been a hot minute since you and I were actually able to hang out and like do stuff. I miss when we used to hang out, play Lego Worlds, watch shows together, go to cookout. I'm definitely craving a cookout shake. But I also just miss hanging out with you in general. How have you been? Kel said, I went over how Vibiro can beat HypnoKitty in the comments of I think your last stream. Understandable. Does that win condition that you had described before for how Vibiro would defeat HypnoKitty still apply with the HypnoKitty amended 3 sentence description? Then Ray King says, vote, vote, to which then I say to Ray King, one word does not fully convey the meaning of a sentence. A matter of fact, one word in its own right is not a sentence. Though it can be. I mean, there are definitely situations in which I guess one word can be a sentence. Like if someone just said no, period, I wouldn't be like, that's not a sentence. But I think vote without any context does not truly clarify the meaning of what you are trying to say. I am simply asking you to use your words and to elaborate a little bit more. But Kels, so you've mentioned that you've already talked about who would win in a fight between Viburo and HypnoKitty. How do you feel about Monica versus Viburo? Monica is another one of Beth's OC characters. Monica is a whale shark humanoid with a hypnotic stare and strong hydrokinetic powers. Electricity severely weakens her, and she can be hypnotized by her own hypnotic stare. Let's see. And that again is one of Beth's original characters, which she posted descriptions for on Amino. Well, she gave me the descriptions and then I posted them on Amino. I did edit the descriptions just a little bit, just to kind of shape them up a little bit. Let's see. Right now, I'm reading a message from Beth, not out loud, but just for a moment. So give me one moment to get back with you guys on that. Let's see. Okay. I read the message from Beth. It didn't really require a response from me, so I'm gonna keep the show rolling. She didn't really ask a question or anything like that. Okay, let's see. Ryan said, "Indeed, my mother has had an arm injury, and I am needed to ferry her about, so I may be unable to hang out in the immediate." Understandable. I'm sorry to hear that, and I hope that your mother feels better soon. Kel said, "Yeah, Viburo can still be HypnoKitty." And he said, "Within the conditions I specified in my comment." Understandable. If I remember what you said correctly last time when we were talking about Viburo versus HypnoKitty, you mentioned using the clothing manipulation powers of Viburo to like cover up his ear, well, to stuff like cotton into his ears from his clothing, I think, so that he couldn't really hear the hypno flute, and also to lift his clothing up to where he couldn't see HypnoKitty's eyes, because in the original description for HypnoKitty, she could hypnotize with her eyes as well, but in this new description, she only hypnotizes with the flute. So it seems like the way that you described it is that if Viburo knew what HypnoKitty's powers were, he could stuff his clothing into his ears using his clothing manipulation abilities, and then it seems like he could try and get HypnoKitty. The issue is HypnoKitty now has teleportation. She has teleportation in the Hypno Flute, as of how her powers are currently written. How do you think Viburo will handle her ability to teleport around him? Um, I'm not exactly sure what HypnoKitty would use her teleportation for as a win condition, considering that your character has regeneration. I'm not exactly sure what she could do to really stop Viburo, unless she teleported, got like a grenade or something, chucked the grenade at Viburo, and then teleported away. I'm not sure how well Viburo can regenerate from having his entire body blown apart by like an explosion or something. Also, HypnoKitty, she doesn't have any specific teleportation related weakness, which makes her teleportation seem rather good. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if you could maybe speed blitz her, like before she can think about teleporting away, having Viburo enhance his senses, and well, not necessarily enhance his senses, but sure if you wanted, but he could enhance his speed, is what I was getting at, and then speed blitz her that way, or fire a bolt of electricity at her faster than she may be able to react by teleporting away. Um, but I do think that the stuffing the clothing into the ears is a solid defense from HypnoKitty's Hypno Flute. I do vibe with that. I think that makes sense, and that is a creative use of his abilities. Kel said Viburo can make an electric field around his body, so if she teleports near him, she'll get oofed. I get that for if HypnoKitty teleports to Viburo, but what if HypnoKitty teleports away, gets a grenade, teleports back, chucks the grenade, teleports away? Um, will the field of electricity be strong enough to resist a blast from a grenade? If so, how many grenade blasts can it withstand? What if she was to come back and throw like a whole cloud of grenades? She just like chucks them and then vanishes, and then all the grenades just blow up around you, you know? Like, how many grenades would she need to teleport in, throw, or teleport in and just yeet just all these grenades at you? Uh, like how much effort does she have to put in to get you if she was to take that tactic, the like hide and attack tactic. Hide and attack tactic. That was an interesting. It was the way that the words flow is weird. Also, I am opening a YouTube tab. After the vlog, I'm going to do a text and watch date with Beth. So I kind of need to get the link up for that text and watch date. So I'm doing that right now. So I'm curious to see what Kels's response is to the grenade flurry that HypnoKitty technically could do, since there isn't a real limit on HypnoKitty's teleportation, which I think is a little hacks. HypnoKitty has a hard limit on her hypnosis, but has like no limit at all when it comes to her teleportation. Ray King then says voot, which is just not a word as far as I'm aware. Excuse me, so I have no idea what he's referring to there. Kells said, I think he can survive the first grenade, but after that, he can just expand the electro field. Okay. So he can use his electro field to protect him from how many grenades? Like just an infinite amount of grenades as long as he keeps expanding the field, or what? Then Ray King said, voot is a word. Plus now vote. To which then Kel said, Ray King, vote for what? Because Ray King currently isn't clarifying what he's talking about. I think I might know what he's talking about, but he's not clarifying what he's trying to say. So how are we supposed to know? Let's see. Right now I am pulling up. Oh, I was going to pull up the text and watch video that I was going to watch with Beth. Ray King keeps repeating the same word, which is totally fine. I just don't know what he means. Then Kel said expanding the field isn't for protection, it's to get HypnoKitty. Okay, so you're like, the next time HypnoKitty teleports in to throw a grenade, zap, you just goot her. I can see that. Yeah, that seems like a pretty good plan. I guess the only issue would possibly be if she got like electrocuted, but she had already pulled the pins for the grenade before she teleported in. Then Ray King said, for a game. He said, fuck this. He said, games. So, my question, Ray King, in regards to your, like, vote for a game thing, why didn't you just say that, like, forever ago? Like, now we're, like, 48 minutes into the video. We only streamed for, like, an hour. Were you like, yeah, I only want to play a game for, like, 12 minutes? I don't fully understand. Then Ryan said, Jet is a robot, and he put a robot emoji up. I mean, am I a robot? You guys decide. Vote in the comments, well, in the live chat, or the comment section, either one. Am I a robot? And feel free to give your reasons for why you feel like I'm a robot. So Ray King says that he wants to do the drawing game, Drawful. I think Drawful probably takes at least 15 minutes or so. Probably should have voted for earlier. I just don't think we have enough time to do like a game of Drawful. Let's see. Kel said if she already pulled the pins, he can try to quickly make an electric shield so that he doesn't die from it. Would he be able to perceive that she had already pulled the pins before the grenades went off? Because when she teleports in with the grenades, I don't think it will be immediately obvious that the pins have been pulled, considering that you would see a person suddenly teleport in with grenades and throwing grenades. I think you would notice the grenades first before you would know that the pins had been done. And then Kel said, well, he'll see the explosion. But how soon between seeing the explosion and getting hit by the explosion, like how much time would there be between that? Then Raking said it is 8:43. Aha! I keep starting the streams early and then realizing like, oh right, I started it earlier than I thought. So Raking is saying that he wants to do a game of Drawful. I haven't done a game during the vlogs in a hot minute because I've kind of been digging more of the discussion aspect of the vlog, just being able to talk with you guys. And I feel like the games somewhat take away from that. But there has been a demand for games. I have noticed that you guys have been like, hey, when are we going to get more game content in here? When it comes to games, if I had any particular preference on what I would like to play, I recently bought Lego DC Supervillains, and I've like barely touched it. A lot of my day has been put into like work, writing, and messaging with Beth that I have had little to no time to play any of my own video games. So if I had a horse in the race, and I was like, hey, if we're talking about playing a game, I feel like Lego DC Supervillains is more of what I'm currently vibing. Uh, what are you guys vibing in terms of if we were to play a game? And please limit your vibe to one game. I noticed that Ray King is starting to go the drawing game or Nexus or like he's trying to bring up a whole bunch. Please just limit it to one. I'd rather each person bring up one thing that they kind of want to see rather than everybody brings up three things and we got to figure out which got the most votes. Kel said he can enhance his senses. So by the time the pins are pulled, he'll already have his senses enhanced. I suppose after the first grenade, he probably would have expanded his electric field and have enhanced his senses, which makes sense. How many times can he expend stamina before he's like getting hella weak? You know what I mean? Like, how many times can he like use his stamina until he's like, because I know that his enhancing his own abilities uses his stamina, and his electrokinesis uses his stamina. And so far in this hypothetical fight scenario, he's used his stamina to create a small electric field around his body, to then expand that electric field further, and now he's using stamina to enhance his senses. So he's been spending stamina. He's spent it 3 times so far. Is that like a significant amount of stamina spent? Or is that like, nah, like he's still doing pretty good on stamina? Because I just don't know how many times it clicks before you really start to see it take effect and see him get tired. Ray King said, I voted Dueling Book. Dueling Book is one of the games that takes longer to set up than other things. Anything that's on the computer takes longer to set up than like a console game. Um, so the easiest games to set up are things on the PS4. It just makes life a lot easier. Also, Dueling Book is probably the most, like, one of the more difficult games to stream because it's not automated. So you have to pay a lot of attention to what your opponent is doing and making sure that they're actually following the rules to the game and stuff like that. So it can get a little hairy. Kel said enhancing his senses and expanding the field isn't that much stamina. Understandable. It's kind of arbitrary. You know what I mean? Uh, which I get why it's arbitrary, but it's just a thing where it's like the upper limits of his stamina we don't really know. So I don't know if 3 things should make him a little tired or if he only gets tired after he does like 10 things. Is it the number of things he does or like the extent of the thing that he's doing? Because it's not really set in stone, it's like he has a limit, but the limit is vague. Like all I know is that he should now be more tired than he was before, but I don't know how tired he should be after doing those things. Excuse me, which is fine. I mean, I don't have to know explicitly how tired he is. Um, but I guess it's the difference between a weakness being like a easily quantifiable weakness and a weakness being like, I guess that's a thing. You know what I mean? Do, 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 do. And I guess the thing that would help would be if the amount of stamina spent for things was specified, even with just a word. It doesn't have to be a number, but if it's like it cost him an insignificant amount of stamina in order for him to do things, then it's like, oh, well, I know the weakness is that it costs stamina, but on the plus side, he like it only takes a little bit of stamina. Um, but just saying it costs stamina is vague to where it's like, well, I know he gets tired, but I don't know how tired he's getting. Kel said, I'll let you know when he's getting tired. But that's one of those things where I understand that you wouldn't do this, but you could just be like, no, he's not tired yet. Like, you could just keep describing things and be like, oh, he has plenty of stamina left. Like, it's fine. You know, it feels kind of hand wavy. Again, not like a shit on or anything, just an observation that his stamina is a limit, but we don't know how limited it is. So it's just kind of vague. But I imagine if there was a character who specifically exploited the consumption of stamina from an opponent, that it would become more of a factor. And I feel like for this particular fight, maybe it doesn't matter as much that we don't know how much stamina is being spent. But if there was a enemy character who was like, my whole thing is that whenever you do something and you like spend stamina to do it, you spend twice the stamina or something, then maybe it would become more of like an important factor. Uh, Ryan then put big dick energy question mark. Let's see. Oh, Ryan, have you been keeping up with the who would win OC battle stuff? So Ryan said big dick energy or small dick energy. So big dick energy I've seen on Urban Dictionary. I don't know what small dick energy is. Um, then Ray King said, "Stop talking, vote." It seems like Ray King, people are voting with their actions. So you voted for a game, but it seems like for the most part we're just kind of enjoying a discussion. We're just talking, and I'm also fine with just talking. If I were to pick a game, like if like I was to vote, I would want to do Lego DC Supervillains. Um, so if we count what I want to play and what you want to play, that'd be like a tie. Uh, but the audience is kind of down for talking, it seems, for the most part, at the moment. Then Ray King said, we talk all the time. And it's like, yeah, but that's because discussions can be enjoyable. Kel said, I can't exactly give a limit because it depends on what he's doing and how much he's doing. I understand if you don't accept, bro, just trust me as an answer. And it's not that I don't accept that. Like I said earlier, I don't think you would necessarily just be like, oh, trust me, he has an upper limit, but he not actually have an upper limit. I'm just saying that the three sentence description doesn't seem to go into that. It doesn't seem to specify, what that limit is. And I get where you're coming from, where it's like, it's proportionate to what he's doing, is how much stamina is being consumed, which I totally get that. I definitely understand where you're coming from on that. Ray King said, Kel's vote. And then Kel said, I vote to continue the discussion. I second that vote. I definitely enjoy when we talk about superheroes and original characters and who would win fights. So I'm also down to continue the discussion. So that would be 2 votes for continuing the discussion and 1 for dueling book. Ray King then said, ass. Well, Ray King, you could always participate in the discussion. Because we do the who would win OC battles where you make up your own character, it's not too different from the custom card battles in dueling book where you're kind of making up your own thing and the other person's also making up their own thing, and then you see whose made up thing would win in a fight. So if you would like to participate, that's more or less what we're currently doing. And Kel said, ass. I don't see any donkeys around. Dun 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 dun. Kels. um, let's see. So Ryan put up a random quote. Bum, 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 bum. Ba-da-da, bum, ba-da. I'm trying to figure out what next OC battle. Oh, I kind of want to talk about who would be the perfect counter character to Vibiro, because I think that would be interesting. One question that I have for Kels: if an opponent to Vibiro had the ability to take away an opponent's senses, would Vibiro still be able to enhance his senses power and go, you essentially dialed me down to zero, but if I use my enhanced senses power, then I can continually dial up from zero and then get my senses back to normal? Like, could he do something like that? Or would he be unable to do that if his senses were removed? Kel said, oh, Jet, next stream, you gotta read part 3 of the power system for Poker Game. Let's see. So this stream has about 6 minutes left in it. So I could try to read part 3 now. Um, and see like how far we get. Also, there's a part 3.5. So real quick, I'm gonna read Kel's Spirit Martial Arts section for his Poker Game Power System. Poker Game is the name of Kel's manga slash original webcomic. So right now we're gonna read about Spirit Martial Arts and break down exactly what that is. Spirit martial arts are techniques that use spirit. To learn spirit martial arts, you need to go through a lot of meditation and the procedure used to activate your drive again. This is to make the body used to having spirit in its system while you are awake. An example of a simple spirit martial arts technique is aura. Aura is when you make a layer of spirit energy around your body. This layer gives you a basic boost of strength, speed, durability, and all 5 of your senses. It is possible to add more layers, but it is ill advised because you would rather be using that spirit for other spirit martial arts techniques or for your drive. An example of a more complex technique are phantom strikes. Phantom strikes are a very difficult thing to learn. It's when you apply spirit to a striking attack to make it intangible for a few seconds. While it's intangible, if you pierce another person, it'll go through the person and not do any physical damage to their bodies, but make them feel as if you had really stabbed them. This is used on usually fatal moves so that the person doesn't die. So it allows you to hit someone with a lethal attack and deal non lethal damage. That's interesting. The Phantom Strike technique is illegal in many places, but even though it's difficult to learn, one should look out for them while in an area where Phantom Strikes are legal. Interesting setup. Sherry Chan said, hello, I am joining the OC battle. Yo, Sherry Chan, feel free to hit us up with your OC. All we need is the name of your OC and a 3 sentence description that covers your OC's powers and weaknesses. So, yeah, feel free to jump in. Kels has been competing using his OC, Vibiro. And Vibiro has a interesting 3 power description. Kels, have you posted the shortened I just said 3 power description instead of 3 sentence power description. But Kels, have you posted the 3 sentence power description for Vibiro yet onto Amino? That way we can easily look at it during the stream and during the who would win OC battle. I think that would be pretty hype. Hashtag dope as folk. Raking says it is 8:57. It is true that we have very little time. But Shuri Chan, if you happen to have an OC ready with a 3 sentence description, we could at the very least discuss your character for the next few minutes before the stream actually ends. Raking said 5 hours left. We don't have 5 hours. It'd be interesting if we had 5 hours, but we don't have 5 hours. Hey, hey, do. What? What? Do. Oh, snap. Bum, 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 bum. Wow. Oh, I noticed that we have 3 viewers and 2 likes. Can we get this video to 3 viewers and 3 likes? Thank you, Ken. Truly appreciate it. Let's see. Batman Beyond. Splicers. Oh, cool. We got it to 3 likes. Thank you kindly. Truly appreciate it. Thank you for smashing that like button. So let's see. Is there a way for me to watch this here? Then sure, Ray King said, "Come on." He said, "Just play an online game." Then Shuri Chan said, 3 likes. There you go. Oh, thank you kindly, Shuri Chan. Truly appreciate it. Kel said, "I'm gonna go." He said, "See you later." What's your opinion of spirit martial arts? So spirit martial arts, I think the techniques themselves have been made vague on how exactly they work. I feel like that's the only thing that's really throwing me on the spiritual martial arts. Because you're like, you can put a layer of aura around you and it will enhance you in some way. You know what I mean? But the more layers you put over your body, the greater it enhances your abilities. But then you didn't really explain how you go from spiritual martial arts to aura. You know what I mean? So I guess I would like to know where that gap comes from. Where there's a pretty thicky Sam Wiki gap. So I would be interested in that. Let's see. How much time do we have on the stream? Oh, it's 9. Yo, thank you all for watching. If you guys like this video, make sure to smash that like button, favorite, comment, subscribe, and ding ding ding. Ring the notification bell to be notified whenever we do these live streams. Thank you all once again for tuning in to the show. It's your friend, your boy, Jet Black the one and only, logging out. I'll see you guys tomorrow night at 8 p.m. for our next vlog. Peace.